Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's HIGHMMA, and today we are going to be discussing the events of Sunday morning, UFC 307. Kind of a mid-card, you know what I mean? I can't even big it up. I'm kind of sick at the moment as well, so I can't even lie to you and say I enjoyed it to the maximum. A couple of these fights had me fucking falling asleep. I had to wake up and watch the fucking replay. I'm not even capping, but you know what the plan is. We're just going to go through, discuss the big fights, discuss what interesting fights are next. I am the real best matchmaker on MMA YouTube. I am telling you now, I've cooked up some good ones. So we're going to run through them all. I'm going to give you my reasons why I think these should be next. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on each of the fights. Let's just get straight into this shit, man. First up, we are going to discuss the main event. Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree. What a fight. Absolute war. Actually one of the better title fights of the year. We actually got a bit of a fight this time out of Pereira. It wasn't necessarily just a early finish like the Hill and the Yuri fight. Khalil Rountree put up a good fight, and I think he proved that he is a real top contender and that he would have absolutely demolished fucking Jamal Hill if that fight would have gone ahead at UFC 303. He actually knocked down Pereira. I see people trying to cope, but I'm saying that's a knockdown. You know, if we're all agreeing that the Justin Gaethje hit on Holloway in their fight was a knockdown, this was a knockdown as well. Khalil really hurt Alex Pereira at moments, but you know, he took the first 2 rounds off him easily, I would say personally. But then in the 3rd round, Alex Pereira started finding his timing. And then in the 4th, Khalil just completely gassed out. The altitude was getting to him. He couldn't even lift up his arms to block his head. And eventually he just crumbled. He lasted so long though. He was absolutely just battered and bruised. Put up a sick fight. His stock is at an all-time high right now. That was the best version of Khalil Rountree we have seen so far, I think. And I think next fight, just rebook that Jamal Hill fight. Why not? That'd be pretty sick. It was a shame to see him go out via a TKO. I would have been really impressed if he would have made it the distance, but he is standing across the 2nd greatest light heavyweight of all time in Alex Pereira, so you cannot be surprised. Let's talk a little bit about Alex though. He had a really, really good fight. You know, kind of cleared out light heavyweight other than Ankalaev, but we still need to see how his fight with Rakic goes before we know if he's 100% fighting Pereira. I think he will personally, and I actually think that Ankalaev could win that fight. I'm not too sure now. Close to the time, I would have a final prediction, obviously. But I think that's the best fight to make at light heavyweight. In the post-fight press conference, Pereira said how he doesn't want to go back down to middleweight and get in Sean Strickland's way. And he doesn't want to go to heavyweight because he just ducked the question. Conor McGregor was going crazy about it on Twitter. If you saw, you saw. So I'm thinking throw Ankalaev at him once he's done fighting Rakic, and we could see where things go from there. I'm not really sure who Pereira would be fighting after that. It'd probably have to be a rematch, maybe a Rountree rematch. You know, something like that. Could be kind of cool, who knows? Point I want to make before we get off of the subject of Alex Pereira, though, is we need to realize that this guy is going up in the GOAT rankings very, very fast. Faster than you think. People are seriously still saying that Khabib is above Alex Pereira of all time. I think that's fucking stupid. Double weight champion, 3 title defenses in a year. You know, some of the fastest turnarounds we've seen other than WMMA. Like, bro, it's WMMA. That's fucking easy. Alex Pereira's been putting in that work this year, and he's proven that he's an all-time great, easily. I personally have him above DC at light heavyweight of all time. I'm just saying he's never lost at light heavyweight, knocking everybody the fuck out. The only person who put up a good fight is Jan Blachowicz, one of the toughest light heavyweight contenders of all time, without question. And also, we have to remember that he is tied both of these motherfuckers in title defenses, and his are all finishes. You know, you had fucking Khabib hugging people to death. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of capping here because he did get some submissions. But you see what I mean. Alex Pereira is absolutely destroying people. Look at the fashion, look at the time in between the fights. I think these just all prove, pound for pound, Alex Pereira is the best. Not the greatest of all time, of course, but he's up there. Honestly, top 5 of all time for me. This might be a little bit of recency bias. I'm going to go back over my greatest of all time list after this video. But you know what? I might stand by that statement. You never know. But let's not get too hung up on this fight. Let's move on, because the next fight we are talking about is Jose Aldo versus Mario Bautista. Now, this fight was super disappointing, as I think it might have actually erased any chance of seeing Jose Aldo in a title fight again in his UFC career. It is really depressing to say out loud, but I really think this is the case, because how is he at 38 years of age taking a loss in that place in the rankings, early teens kind of area and then building his way back up with, you know, limited fights left. It's just super annoying because of how well he did. A lot of people are saying this fight was a robbery. Me personally, I don't think it was a robbery. I just think that the rule set of the UFC is fucking stupid. The fact that people like Mario Bautista can just suppress the fight and just hug against the fence rather than actually standing and banging, or if you're going to grapple, actually actively looking for chokes, looking to improve position, you know, just hold it against the fence. No one enjoys that. It is not the right way to win a fight, and it shouldn't be allowed because, you know, Jose Aldo, like I said, he showed his superiority on the feet. You know, he rocked Bautista badly at moments, and I think he showed how good he still really is. This was the same Jose Aldo we saw destroy Jonathan Martinez. Don't forget, that fight was not that long ago, and I think Jose Aldo's looking pretty fresh. He didn't take too much damage in this fight, and I'm saying we don't necessarily need to make him fight someone lower than him in the rankings. Either let's set up a Legends fight. Let's make him fight Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo, who's still above him in the rankings, still got a tiny bit of relevancy at bantamweight. And if not that fight, make the Dominic Cruz fight. People have been calling for that fight for years now, it feels like. And it still would be a sick fight to watch. I would probably pick Jose Aldo in that fight by finish. And that would be a sick way for him to go out of his UFC career, or maybe even take a fight higher in the rankings after that. You never know. I think those two fights for Jose Aldo would be cool, coming off of this kind of anticlimactic loss. For bitch boy Bautista, on the other hand, I think that there is only one fight you should make next, and that is against Song Yudong. I feel like Song Yudong is the kind of striker that is not going to allow Bautista to just wet blanket his way through a fight. I think he's really going to give Bautista a fight and hurt him way worse than Jose Aldo did. We saw Yudong recently go the distance with Peter Yan and give him trouble at times. I think he'd give Mario Bautista worse than trouble. I think he'd give him, you know, a fucking one-way ticket to the Apex, bro. I really feel like Jose Aldo would expose Bautista. Not Jose Aldo, my bad. Song Yudong. So make that Song Yudong fight. Not much more I can add to that. You know, that's higher in the rankings for Bautista as well. Good for him. He can move up a bit. He's got a name like Jose Aldo on his resume now. I guess that's good for a rising contender. So I'm not going to hate too much, but let's keep moving through the card because the next fight we are talking about is... Listen, kid, this was a badass fight. No, it wasn't. Bro, Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. I swear, these Kevin Holland fights are getting more and more unpredictable. You know, last fight out of nowhere in the first round, he gets a bitch slap and then just suddenly breaks Oleksiejczyk's arm. Now he's breaking his ribs at the start of the second round. What the fuck is going on, Kevin Holland? Did I not tell you in the prediction video to lock the fucking... What are you doing? You fucking mong. Bro, I've got my notes right here in front of me. I know I didn't manage to get the full card prediction video out. I took the notes for it, but I recently started a new job. Didn't have the time. Excuses, whatever. But right here, I actually changed my prediction last minute. I changed to Dolidze just because I thought Dolidze is coming down from light heavyweight. Kevin Holland's coming up from welterweight. I just feel like he's just going to get manhandled a little bit. And that's what happened. This motherfucker was brittle at middleweight, it shows. His, you know, broken rib, man, what the fuck? But I guess he can't go on. It's understandable. It was annoying. But it does go as a KO for Roman Dolidze. Well, a TKO, doctor stoppage. And I think what's next for Roman Dolidze? I think we should see Roman Dolidze versus either Brendan Allen or Jared Cannonier. Both contenders higher than him in the rankings. Both of them coming off of losses. And I think Dolidze, in his own way, is on kind of a good streak right now. You know, he beat Anthony Smith at light heavyweight. Now he's beating Kevin Holland. That's kind of a decent name, I guess. But in 2020 it was. You know, I would prefer to see the Cannonier fight just because I think Cannonier could knock Dolidze the fuck out. That is still a super heavy-handed middleweight. Possibly the most powerful middleweight. Bro, look at that Caio Borralho fight. Even though Caio did amazing, don't forget, at moments, Jared Cannonier was piecing him up with some heavy, big meaty hooks, man. I fucking love Jared Cannonier, the Killer Gorilla, and I think the Killer Gorilla could pick up a win here. And, you know, Brendan Allen, I think that he could probably get a decision win over Dolidze. I think his grappling would be superior, but maybe on the feet, Dolidze could get the better of him. Who knows? Dolidze is kind of sluggish, but I would love to see either of these fights. I think they'd be pretty entertaining. You know, maybe a fight night main event, something like that would be cool. But what's next for Kevin Holland? I've thought of something pretty cool here. Definitely not glazing or anything, but my personal favorite middleweight should be fighting Kevin Holland next. It's Sharaputin Magomedov. we should make this fight. Yo, Magomedov has picked up a couple good wins. I'm not too sure. I think he's fighting Petrosian next. I think we all know that Petrosian is going to get fucking finished by Sharaputin. And that fight might have happened already. I'm not too sure. But if it has, he probably won. And I'm saying that Sharaputin could probably put up a good fight against Kevin Holland. But at the same time, that is a winnable fight for Kevin Holland if he gets it to the ground. Kevin Holland is someone that actively finds submissions. Sharaputin's fucking ground game is like non-existent. Kevin Holland could probably find that win. Even though Sharaputin is a personal favourite, I have to say, probably Kevin Holland could get that win right there. But if Shara wins, Kevin Holland is a good name to have beaten in middleweight as a rising contender, just breaking into the rankings. That would be a great win, and that fight would have a lot of hype going into it. Both of these people like to talk shit. Sharaputin does it in his own weird Dagestani way, and Kevin Holland's bro's name is literally Big Mouth. So you know that fight's going to be heat. Let's get it booked. Well, not urgently, but, you know, let's get it booked at some point. I reckon this could happen maybe in January on the fucking Strickland and Duplessis card. Why not? That'd be pretty sick. So that's everything I've got to say about these two motherfuckers, man, to be honest. Let's keep moving on through the video. We've got one more fight to go through, and it was Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Joaquin Buckley. I predicted this fight perfectly. The TKO, the way it went, Buckley just finding his range, finding the pace, pushing a pace on Wonderboy, who had some great distance management, to be honest, and his takedown defense was looking as sharp as ever. He's displayed great takedown defense his whole career. We know what Stephen Thompson is capable of, and I feel like if he was in his prime, he would have put up a way better fight against Buckley. Obviously, he would have been way sharper, but I feel like that could have possibly been a win in his prime. You never know. But let's focus on the actual reality of the situation. Thompson got knocked the fuck out, man. And Buckley did it in great fashion. And he's now in the top 10. He called out Kamaru Usman. I don't think Kamaru is necessarily gonna, like, get, like, not manhandled, but, like, walk down in the way that Wonderboy did. You know, leading up to the finish, Buckley was just looking more and more powerful, more and more damaging. Grappling becoming more and more effective against Wonderboy. I don't know if the grappling is going to look as dominant against a world-class grappler like Kamaru Usman. And I also feel like Kamaru Usman might be a little bit too high in the rankings. We need to go back to building up contenders. What is it with throwing these unranked fighters, like 2 ranked fighters, and then boom, title shot? But you had people like Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad, and grinding for years before they got their title shot. We want to see at least a couple more fights under fighters' belts before they're getting title shots. Look at Diego Lopez. You know, this year alone, Dan Ige, fucking Sadiq Youssef, Brian Ortega. That's how you build a contender. So why don't you make Joaquin Buckley fight Sean Brady next, coming off an impressive win over Gilbert Burns. They're in similar spots in the rankings. I'm pretty sure Sean Brady is actually above Joaquin. And then move on to the Kamaru Usman fight. Why not? I think that makes a lot of sense. And I actually think that Sean Brady fight could be very, very winnable for Buckley. And that just builds his resume as a fighter so that by the time his title shot comes around, whether it be against Bilal or Shavkat or whoever the fuck, he's going to be a bit more like of an aura merchant. You know, you're going to be a bit more like, oh shit, we've seen him beat all these people. It's going to be insane. You know, if you have a Khalil Roundtree moment and his last win is fucking Anthony Smith and you don't know what to expect, what the fuck are you expecting? Because I know we all didn't think that he was going to go 4 rounds with the second greatest light heavyweight ever. No, exactly. So I think we do the Sean Brady fight, then Kamaru Usman. Moving on to Wonderboy though, I think this next fight for him, if he doesn't retire, because he is getting on in age, man. I'm pretty sure he's above 40 now. I think he should be fighting Venom Page. MVP isn't doing as well as the UFC thought he would do when he got here, I don't personally think. I think a lot of people thought he was actually going to beat Ian Gary, but then he got exposed for having 0 ground game whatsoever. Now it's going to be a bit harder to build him up in the rankings considering his age as well. And this isn't like a Jose Aldo moment where he's lying about his age. This is a 37 to 38 year old British MMA fighter who has taken damage in his career, and you know, he has been knocked out, he's been finished before. And I think that, you know, you got to be careful who you're matching him up against, because welterweight is a dangerous division right now. And Wonderboy is probably one of the only people that he can finish. And I hate to say it because I'm not really the biggest MVP fan, and I feel like prime for prime, Wonderboy would absolutely school MVP. But after watching him against Buckley right now, I don't know. I think MVP will probably find that finish. I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, people have been saying this fight should happen all year. Literally since before MVP got signed, people have said this would be one of the best striking matchups you could make. Me personally, I feel like their striking would actually cancel each other out, and it's going to make for a pretty boring fight. But I don't want to jinx it, touch wood. This could be a fucking amazing fight for all we know. So let's get that fight booked. But there's not much more I can really say about the Wonder Boy and Buckley fight. So let's wrap up this video. Before I wrap it up completely though, I'm going to drop a final rating on the card altogether. And honestly, I'm only going to give it a 6 out of 10. I feel like that Jose Aldo fight was just, you know, super disappointing. We had Kevin Holland breaking his rib. It didn't really feel like a definitive win. We had Kayla Harrison not looking as unstoppable as I wanted her to. Ryan Spann got a finish. Kind of cool. That's fucking on the early prelim. No one gives a fuck, you know what I mean? So I'm going to give the card a 6 out of 10. I'm pretty sure in the lead up I gave it a 7.5. Maybe I was a little bit generous there in hindsight. But yeah, 6 out of 10. I think that's a pretty fair rating. Let me know what you all think about my rating in the comments. Let me know what you think about my takes. I will respond to every single comment left under today's video. And yeah, I'm going to wrap up today's video here. So I hope you all had a good day, good night, evening, whatever. And you know what I'm going to say. You don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe. Do what the fuck you want, man. But have a good night, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.